Hello and welcome to another episode of the Construction Corner podcast. I'm Dillon, I'm your host, and today, guys, you're just going to get me here on the microphone. We have both been extremely busy, and to find a time that both Matt and I are available has been quite difficult here the past few weeks. So, you're going to get me. And if you like this show, if you like what I'm going to talk about today, which is going to be accountability, messaging, and why repetition is so important, then go ahead and share the show with a friend, a coworker, somebody that needs to hear this message, because that's how we're going to grow. Appreciate you guys for listening, and without further ado, we're going to dive right in. So the first thing that I want to talk about today is accountability. And really, this is accountability / standards and holding the line. One of the things that I recognize, so I was in the gym this weekend, and it's a family-friendly gym, by and large, right? Like, people are bringing their kids in, which isn't necessarily my cup of tea, but without kids, I get it, right? You can't find a babysitter, you bring your kids to the gym, workout, and this is really like all class-based stuff. So like I'm doing spin class and TRX and weights, and but again, all class-based exercise. Which again, I really just care about spin and TRX, hit, that kind of stuff to get me back in shape. And so anyway, I was at the gym this weekend, and we were spinning, and the instructor, who is also the owner of the gym, had her 2 kids. And frankly, they were not well behaved. They were yelling, crying, screaming. Well, I guess not crying, but yelling, playing with stuff, making a ton of noise. And, I came to work out. That's what I ultimately came for. But so having kids, not having kids at the gym, that's a whole different conversation. But the thing that I really want to point on is when she tried to discipline her kids, they didn't listen. Right. And she was, again, leading a spin class. So it wasn't really in the place to necessarily, get up, discipline her kids. And then she talked about, taking stars away and all this stuff. And again, I don't really care how you discipline your kids. They're yours. They're not mine. But what I could tell is the kids didn't believe her, right? That their stars were going to get taken away, or 1 or 2. It had no effect on them, right? They did not care because they knew it wasn't going to happen. And the thing that I want to point out, and the thing that I want to relay this to, is in engineering firms, when I would go over budget on projects, right, as a salaried employee, and all my team was salaried, I'd get scolded for going over budget. But at the end of the day, what the hell did it matter? There was no repercussion for going over budget. It did not matter. It had no effect, right? Other than a stern talking to, which, shaking in my boots, had no effect. Does not matter, right? And so I think we get really caught up in things that just don't matter. Okay, so what? I went over budget. And my pay didn't go down. I wasn't getting bonused on being under budget, so I wasn't getting compensated for a good job, and I wasn't really getting there were no negative repercussions other than maybe a stern talking to. So what does it matter? And we have to really look at that. And if you're not going to or enforce anything, not have any repercussions or good, repercussions for an action, you shouldn't have anything on the other side of that, right? Yelling at your kids and them not doing anything because they know nothing's going to happen. Okay, right? And your point. And this happens in a lot of things, right? A standard is not held. No one is accountable. The line is not drawn, and you move on. And this creates really a ton of animosity, a lack of caring, because it's when you try to implement something new in your firm, right, an engineering firm, okay, does this actually count? Is this going to matter? Oh, yeah. This is really going to happen this time. This thing is going to go through. Never does, right? I've been through multiple strategic planning things, but, led a given topic, improvements, yada, yada, handed it up. Nothing ever happened with it. And you can see this, over and over again in the majority of firms, right? Oh yeah, this time's going to be different. We're actually going to implement this stuff. We paid, $200,000 for a consultant. We spent hundreds of thousands in time. Nothing happens, right? So it's being able to hold a standard, being able to be accountable, hold your accountability to everybody that really matters. And I think we far underestimate the ability that we have to convince other people by just not holding ourselves or anyone else accountable. Like, oh, I missed a deadline. And, like there's no repercussion for any of that, other than trying to be some social pressure. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. And that's a bad place to be. But that's ultimately what we come down to, right? Like, yeah, we'll deal with it later. Like, it doesn't really matter. I don't have any negative repercussions for any of this, so why try? Why be there? No one's going to hold the standard. No one's going to hold accountability. No one's going to look at this. So again, why does it matter? And you need to remove as many of those as possible in your organization. I see it over and over and over again. Not holding the line, not holding the standard, knowing that nobody's going to review it. Like every set of drawings that went out, especially with my stamp, but went out of my department when I was managing a team, and I had 9 people under me, like I reviewed every single set of drawings, that went out for construction. Every single set, every single sheet, every single page, checked it. Like that's what you have to do, right? They knew somebody was going to be looking at it. And honestly, like they're grateful for somebody to like check their work because they don't want anything to be wrong, right? They don't want to deal with it later. So, I mean, it's beneficial for you, for them, for the team to show that like you're going to hold a standard, you're going to be accountable, and you're going to check their work, right? It's going to have repercussions. Simple as that. And like I can belabor this point for a very, very long time, but if you don't hold a standard, nobody's going to follow you. You're not going to be a leader. They won't believe you. And that's a problem. When people do not believe what you have to say, when people do not believe that you have their best interests in mind because you don't show it. And yeah, that takes time to build, but you can do it pretty quickly. But at the end of the day, if you don't have the ability to hold the line, hold the standard, and keep people accountable, your firm is really not going to go anywhere. And those that hold a standard, hold the line, hold everybody accountable, they're going to grow, they're going to get stronger, everyone's going to get better, and your team is just going to be better for it. So that's point number 1, accountability and holding the standard. Number 2 is messaging. So one of the things that I can obviously be better at, and that many of you can be better at, and some of this we do a pretty good job here on the show, is you have a core set of messages, a core set of values, a core set of value propositions that you place out into the market, right? For this show, it's really helping people and educating people on the trades, on, making the trades cool again, blue collar badass, instilling some leadership lessons for you guys, giving you those kind of free, tips, tricks type of thing for your leadership to make you better leaders, to have a better firm, right? In construction, design, whatever it is. That's really the goal of this podcast, right? To bring back the trades, to help you promote, the trades as well as, construction as a whole, and then to give you some leadership lessons, tips, tricks in growing your construction company. Then you have Matt, right? And Matt's thing is, true design build. And what does that mean, right? It means bringing everybody together. It means having a team. It means, treating your specialty contractors as partners, your trade partners, in everything that you do. And Matt talks about core values and leads through that for his firm and has built a very successful general contracting GC company and has some great trade partners. You can see that through his posts and the people that he does work with, the projects that he's on. And, he just preaches that true design build message and treating, trade partners like team members. They do more work because of it. For me, Cowabunga Studios, our true message, and one that I need to hammer on just more, is, look, you do a lot of tedious, mind-numbing tasks, a lot of things that are really not worth your time, and you can't find people to do it on the other side of it. We all know that there's a hiring problem, that there's a shortage of people to come into your firm to work, and ultimately you need to find ways to be more productive because you just don't have the time to do it. You don't have the people to do the work that you're getting. The amount of projects are up and turnover is up as well. That's a bad combination of upward momentum, right? You don't need double-digit growth in revenue and in turnover. That's not a winning combination. So the only way to really combat this, other than having your people work 70 hours a week, and then that's another contributing factor to turnover, is you've got to use software to automate things that really take up a lot of time that don't add much value to projects. Initial layout, project setup, those types of things, right? To allow your people to do what they do best, to allow your architects, engineers, all of your people to really use their brains more. And at the end of the day, automation frees your mind. It allows your mind to focus on bigger things, to solve bigger problems, to add more value, right? If you had everybody in your firm working on these tedious tasks, you would never move above that type of deal, right? So a $20 an hour task, right, for drafting layout, project setup, all that kind of stuff, that's what it is. And you would never move past, however many people you have at, $20 an hour. Like, you're never going to move past that level, right? Frank Gehry does not operate on that. Frank Gehry operates on, big ideas, better thoughts, better thinking. And we need to be using our brains, our minds, and communicating our messaging better to our clients, right? Like, you don't hire Frank Gehry to do layout. That's not what you do. Or any of these other star architects, right? You don't hire some of the best structural engineers in the world to design, doghouses. You hire them to design skyscrapers. There's a very big difference, and you're going to pay, accordingly for that skill set. So all this is to say, in, your messaging, your company, finding those values that you need to push through, whatever that might be. You might be high-level design. It might be efficient and effective design. It might be, bargain brace pricing. And there can only be, one cheapest competitor. There can be a lot of expensive ones. So, and it's really all on value proposition, on how you position yourself in the market, and, the projects and types that you go after. So understanding like where you fit in the market, your messaging, and there's going to be a point in your messaging and point in time when you're going to be talking about your messaging, and it's going to be boring as all get out to you. You're going to be sick of hearing yourself say the same things over and 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 over again. That's part of it. You need to say old things to new people, right? Not everybody has heard your message. Not everyone has your message sunk into their brain to where they can repeat it. There's a ton of like gurus, professional brains out there, and you really know what they stand for, right? You know that they're 5, 6, 7 mantras. It's because they repeated it over and over and over again, right? Matt does True Design Build. I'm pushing to where I hope you know that Cowabunga Studios is automation to help free your mind, right? Even if you just know automation, I would be super happy about that. So whatever it is that you do, people need to have some association with a word, feeling, an emotion, right? Like Nike does clothes, like got milk. Like that's a famous slogan. But with all these companies, with all these brands, you know what they do. You have one word association. McDonald's could be Big Mac, could be heart attack. Same thing, right? You have an association to that company. Hopefully it's for the good, right? Some good messaging around your company, not bad. So whatever you're looking to do, to promote, to have as a slogan, a tagline, you have to repeat it ad nauseum. Like, you're going to get sick of it, but not everybody sees your message as much as you do, right? When you post something on social media, when you post it out on the internet, there's going to be, let's just say, a few hundred people that see it, 1,000, whatever. It's really 10% of your audience, but that 10% always rotates. You don't always have the same people seeing your message. And you have to remember that, right? Not everybody sees every message that you put out every single time. There is going to be a percentage of your audience, maybe 1%, 2%, that see it every time, but not all people see your message every time. And that's really important to remember and to think about, is out, especially in your marketing messages. Not everybody sees what you do. Not everybody sees the content you put out. Not everybody hears it. Not everybody listens to it. So you need to be repetitive. And then your team members, right? Doing this internally to repeat your core values, what you stand for, who you are, what you do, why you're here. Again, you're going to get tired of it. But some days your team members, your employees, they're going to hear you. Some days they are not, right? They're checked out. They're thinking about stuff at home, at what they're doing after work, about the game, right? They have tons of other things on their mind, so they're not necessarily always hearing your message. So you have to keep reinforcing it, right? Tell it from different angles. Tell it the same way. All you need to do is to keep repeating your message. And really, this is the third piece, right? Is repetition. You're going to have to keep repeating, holding people accountable. You're going to have to keep repeating your message. You're going to have to keep repeating a lot of things, right? How many times are you going to keep repeating project layout, project setup before you get bored of it, when you can just buy a software to automate it? How many times are you going to have to keep going through trade partners because you don't treat them well? You know, like, these are things that matter. These are things that count. These are things that you need to really instill and ingrain in who you are, right? How many times should you repeat being a nice person? You should do that often, right? How many times are you going to repeat being mean? Hopefully only once. Like, that's the point, right? Is repeat good actions, remove and stop repeating unsuccessful actions. So, and things that benefit you, do more of them. Things that don't benefit you, don't do them or do less of them, right? And the more that you can repeat these actions, both good and bad, is going to benefit you to the better, right? And these things don't happen in 30 days or 21 days or 7 days. I mean, this is like 70 days is what it really takes to ingrain habits. Don't let people tell you it's less. It's really not. So you need to be, like, the start of a habit might happen at 21 days, but to fully ingrain it, it takes 70 plus days to make that happen. So for a lot of you, the repetition is going to be more than you think. And just when you think you have it, you've got it, you understand it, really ask yourself, do you understand it? Do you have it? Do you fully comprehend what it is that you're looking to do? Do you fully grasp the scale and scope of what it is that you're looking at? And that can go one of two ways, like maybe yes, maybe no. So really think deeply about, do you understand it? Do you know that? Is this something that you're fully competent and capable of? Is it unconscious to where you don't even have to think about what it is that you're doing, right? You don't even have to think about your core values. You don't even have to think about acting in congruence with your core values. You don't even have to think about what it is that you do for your meetings, your team, any of that, because you've repeated it so much that it is unconscious and you are competent in it, right? You're unconsciously competent. And this repetition, this skill increase, is something that we have to go through, right? You go from not being able to walk, not being able to tie your shoes, to you don't even need to think about tying your shoes. You go from being able to not drive a car or shift a gear to you don't even have to think about it, right? To where, like, if I, let's say I'm eating in my car, which is a stick shift, and am I eating with my right hand, or, in the old days when I had no Bluetooth for my phone or anything like that, I had my phone in my right hand, I can shift with my left hand because I have to think about it a little bit, but it's by and large, the shifting motion is unconscious in me to where I can do that. I can switch hands. Again, I have to think slightly about it to shift, and we can go on. I don't have to think about it with, shifting normally with my right hand. So things like that, right? You go from not knowing how to drive to being unconscious in it, and just knowing and feeling. And I can only imagine what race car drivers, their unconscious competence level as they go around a track at 220 miles an hour. Like, that is insane to me. But again, it's just a matter of skill. It's a matter of repetition. It's a matter of getting in the reps to go and do it. So as we progress through many different challenges levels within our lives, within our firms, within our businesses, repetition is going to be the key of it, right? Continue doing successful actions. So many of us, stop doing things that we know are good for us, right? We stop exercising. We stop eating well. We stop listening to good podcasts or reading good books or doing the things that we know we need to do, right? Making outbound calls, whatever it might be, we stop doing those things and then we start doing things that are basically the opposite of those, right? That are not good for us. And if we can really just focus on the successful actions, the things that we know are going to help us, that are going to move us forward, and really, there's only a few things that you need to do a day to really push that offense, you're going to be so much better off for it. So to recap this episode, I know it's a little shorter than we normally go, but be accountable and hold the line, hold your standards, because they matter. Tom Brady has very different standards than the Lions. In all honesty, he's going to hold a higher standard, and he did with the Buccaneers, than, the Lions do in their entire organization. Like, there is a different level of accountability and standard between an organization that Tom Brady is a part of and the Lions or the Browns, right? Just calling it how it is. So if you're from Michigan or Northeast Ohio, just sucks to suck. But it all comes down to holding the standard. Can you hold that standard? Can you hold the line? That you have great players on your team, but if you don't hold them accountable, they're not going to rise to the level that they're meant to rise to. We just witnessed that with Stafford winning a Super Bowl here this last year. Next is messaging. Be clear in what your messaging is, what your value proposition is, what you provide to the marketplace, what you provide to your clients, customers, partners, especially contractors, the things that you provide to the market. Be very, very clear in that. And then, which leads us into our last thing, repetition. You need to repeat your messaging. You need to repeat your standards. You need to hold the line through all of this, because honestly, it matters. It matters a whole heck of a lot to repeat it, to ingrain it, so that people truly know and understand what it is that you stand for, what you're doing, why it matters, and why people should listen to you. So guys, that's what I got for today. I know it's somewhat repetitive, but that's the point, is to repeat your messaging, to repeat your standards, to hold people accountable, and at the end of the day, to become competent unconsciously in this, right? You just do it automatically, just like tying your shoes. You know how to do it. You don't have to think about it. Just like driving to work, the roads to take, and some days you're daydreaming and you just wake up at the office or wake up at home, and that's how it goes, because you're unconsciously competent, because you've done it so many times that you don't even have to think about it. And you want to get that in, holding the standards, being accountable, and what it is that you provide, the value, the messaging, the value proposition that you have into the marketplace. So if you enjoyed this episode, go ahead and share it. And thank you guys so much for listening to this episode of the Construction Corner podcast. Until next time.